Challenge is over 70% of workloads are running not in the public cloud, right? They're out at the edge, running analytics. The real challenge we see, or the real opportunity, is to help these businesses bridge this gap. And platform thinking is something that's been written about a lot over the last couple of years. Hello, everybody. I'm going to try and do something that I don't think has ever been done before. I'm going to talk for 10 minutes about Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and I'm not going to talk about hardware. So, joking, not joking. So, for the last 8 years, I've been a part of Morpheus Data. We're a hybrid cloud management platform, help orchestrate and automate the creation and delivery of clouds at the edge, in the data center, in colo, managing access up into the public cloud. But about 6 months ago, we were acquired by HPE, and we are now the software that is powering their private and hybrid cloud ambitions. And I want to talk a little bit about what we can do for the service provider community as well as the enterprise community. About 35% of our customer base is service providers, right? And that could be globals like HPE, Dell, Lenovo, Accenture, Deloitte, all built their hybrid cloud practices based on our little bitty software company. But we also have a lot of regional, sovereign, country-level hosting providers who are also providing shared services to smaller enterprises, mid-market companies, or even large enterprises. So let's dig in. This is a classic slide that we talk to a lot. Is that the friction between the providers of IT and the consumers of IT has been around since, I think, probably the dawn of IT, when the first accounting person walked into a punch card room and asked, a mainframe provider to run a job. The friction started, and it's still alive and well today in maybe a more modern way. But we still see more and more that the providers of IT who are focused on efficiency, control. Right? Every IT leader I've ever talked to is a control freak, myself included. I used to be an IT guy before I got on stage and started talking about the products we built. But IT is governed around service levels. That's what they're measured to as a standard. On the flip side, we have internal product teams, data analyst teams, development teams inside the enterprise who are measured on speed, right? Creativity, delivering new services to the business that can help them differentiate, drive new revenue. That tension is at an all-time high, and it has really, I think, modernized in the last few years, largely because of the public cloud. The expectations of IT today are much greater than they were, just a handful of years ago. Why? Because I think those consumers of IT have realized there is life after internal IT, right? They can go to an AWS, an Azure, GCP, swipe a credit card, hit a button, and get exactly what they want in a matter of minutes. So they know that's the bar. That's possible. The challenge is over 70% of workloads are running not in the public cloud, right? They're out at the edge, running analytics. They're in a distribution center. They are in a data center. They're in a colo at a hosting provider. So the real challenge we see, or the real opportunity for service providers, as well as enterprises who are trying to act more like a service provider, is to help these businesses bridge this gap. And platform thinking is something that's been written about a lot over the last couple of years. But this is the idea of dev and ops working closer together to have a platform framework where you can bring your tools, your processes, your needs around application delivery, and do it in a much more repeatable way. That is the basis of why Morpheus exists. It's why we were born, and it's really why HPE did the acquisition a number of months ago. So for those who've been in a data center, been running a hosting practice, been in enterprise IT for any amount of time, this nightmare probably looks somewhat familiar. I stole this from one of our large enterprise customers a number of years ago. They had about 40 people inside a room, a little bit smaller than this, but they had locked them in there, right? Like the Vatican trying to choose the next pope. They were trying to examine why every time they tried to push their production website out, it took a lot of time. It was breaking regularly, right? And we're talking a Fortune 100 business. They had the DevOps team, the IT team, the security team. I think they had shoved the finance person in the corner trying to talk about how much it cost. But this company had never met a tool they didn't like. They had what I would describe as a software-definable data center. Right? We've all heard about the software-defined data center. It's more a myth, a legend, than an actuality for most enterprises, because all of these tools that it takes to run IT all have APIs. They can be automated, but what we often see inside the enterprise is it just takes a lot more work than that to fully orchestrate the end-to-end delivery of an application service, from service request, right? A developer, a data analyst says, I need my MongoDB database. I need my application stack. I just need a basic VM. All the way to the other side where that instance has an IP address. It's got a VIP provision behind a load balancer. We've cloned a virtual machine. We've run an image template. We've talked to a Git repository and run some automation scripts. We've set up an operations job, a backup job. We've got logging set up. We've deployed a database onto that machine. That work inside the enterprise still takes days, if not weeks, right? AWS, magic, right? It's a fully proprietary stack. They've automated the heck out of it, and they've put it behind a portal. When you look at on-prem IT, if you're a hosting provider, an MSP, and you've got your own heterogeneous tooling inside your colo, you're working with tenants or clients who have their technical debt on premises in their own data centers, and you're trying to bridge and broker things up into the public cloud, it becomes a challenge. That's the challenge that we aim to solve at Morpheus. To make matters worse, there was a small acquisition a couple of years ago, or at least an announcement of an acquisition that then closed. Broadcom acquired VMware, and it has caused an inordinate amount of emotional distress, I'll call it, inside the enterprise. Whether you're an enterprise who's seen cost increases, or you're a service provider who's part of the VCPP program, who've seen your own relationship with VMware change over the last few years, it's got everybody rethinking not just their strategy around virtualization, but it's accelerated efforts around containers, cloud native. It's created more heterogeneity. It's made it even more difficult to achieve the cloud operating model that most enterprises are looking for. And really, for us, we've seen a massive increase in business just for Morpheus. We've grown about 40% year over year the last few years. But we've also seen our service providers really take advantage of this. And I think that's one of the things I'd like to leave you with is the opportunity for MSPs, CSPs to help enterprises navigate not just their private and public cloud ambitions, but also de-risk and take cost out as they try and deal with their own relationship with Broadcom and VMware. There's a ton of opportunity. So last couple of minutes, I just want to give you a highlight reel of really what Morpheus does, how we are, and encourage you to go by the booth and get a demo from my much smarter German-speaking colleague, Stefan. So we're a software platform. We're not SaaS. We don't run up in the public cloud. We can install in your data center as an MSP or as an enterprise. We can install up in the public cloud, but our goal is to create that cloud experience, to provide a consistent layer to provision VMs, containers, databases, websites, multi-tier application stacks with a unified GUI, unified API CLI, unified Terraform provider that can provision into any on-premises or public cloud environment. So bare metal, hypervisors, container clusters, public cloud endpoints. That's what we do. We're an abstraction layer to provision workloads and manage those workloads across their life cycle, right? Attaching automation to every time you start up, shut down, tear down, reconfigure that application service, you can automatically run your Ansible, Bash, PowerShell, Salt, all your automation jobs. Second, though, we've also created a cluster management aspect of the stack to actually provision the runtimes that those workloads live on. We tie into every hypervisor you can imagine, but we also have our own built-in KVM-based hypervisor built on top of Ubuntu, something HPE just launched as a standalone basis called VM Essentials. But it's a feature within the Morpheus platform. We also have our own CNCF-compliant Kubernetes distribution. So for service providers who are always trying to take cost out of their business, if you're not wanting to invest in a Red Hat OpenShift or a full VMware stack, we're going to give you a base-level runtime to actually run those workloads on and provide multi-tenant services to your business. But we know you've also got heavy investments in all of those other runtimes, and we manage those too. We don't have a dog in that fight. Lastly, we're going to attach cost and meaning to all of those activities. So if you want to set up your pricing and plans and t-shirt sizes for your own tenants, gold, silver, bronze class storage, uplift for your services, power and cooling, software markup, we build all that metering data that our service providers then use to bill for their services. So from a service provider perspective, really, this is a white-labeled platform portal that you can use to power your business. It's what most of our service providers do. They white-label us, put us behind their own portals, and tie us into their extra services. We are multi-tenanted, very fine-grained role-based access permission set. You can tie into your customer's Active Directory, their Okta, whatever their identity providers are, set up groups and roles, set up policy guardrails so that your own admins, as well as their admins, can play together to provide services in a much more efficient way. And then lastly, like I said, we are that billing and metering engine. We also have the ability to go up into the public cloud accounts, pull down their invoice data, normalize that alongside your colo and their on-prem estates, and provide analytics and right-sizing guidance. For those who know the tooling in the industry, if you took ARIA Automation, vCloud Director from VMware, plus Ansible Tower from Red Hat, plus Terraform Cloud, plus a little bit of Turbonomics. That's the tool set that we've really brought under one roof as Morpheus. Last slide, again, I think I've still not mentioned hardware. HPE has very quietly, over the last number of years, built a substantive hybrid cloud software platform stack with acquisitions like Zerto to do heterogeneous replication across different cloud endpoints or different hypervisor endpoints. OpsRamp, Dell, Lenovo, HP, Accenture, Kyndryl, all those OEMs I mentioned earlier were actually using Morpheus plus OpsRamp together even prior to the acquisition of both companies by HPE. So one of the things you'll see over the next few months is a cloud operations stack where we can help service providers as well as enterprises really bridge edge, data center, colo, and cloud with software on anybody's hardware, on anybody's hypervisor. So encourage you to take a second look at HPE if you haven't in a while. Not just hardware anymore, really here to help you drive your hybrid cloud platform ops strategies. So with that, I think I'm over time, but I want to thank everybody and say come by the booth, get a demo from Stefan, and have a great rest of your CloudFest.